Picture this. You're coordinating a high-stakes tactical operation.
Okay.
Your agents are out there. They're equipped with, like, high-definition body cameras. They're tracking GPS-stamped geofencing coordinates in real time.
Sounds serious.
Right, and they're using biometric verification in the field. Plus, every single photograph they take is instantly metadata locked to the blockchain to prevent any possibility of deepfake tampering.
That's a massive amount of tech.
It is. And they're conducting these precise timed stakeouts just outside highly exclusive gated communities, basically just waiting for the perfect window of opportunity.
I mean, it sounds like the opening scene of a blockbuster espionage thriller.
Exactly what I thought. You're probably picturing, a team of international spies trying to track down some rogue operative. And this is the crazy part, it's not a spy movie.
No, it's really not.
This is the actual day-to-day reality of local legal logistics in the year 2026. This is literally just what it takes to hand someone a piece of paper.
It really is a staggering shift in operations. And our mission for today's deep dive is to examine the operational disclosures from Lafayette Process Servers, LLC.
Specifically focusing on their Mandeville and St. Tammany service unit. Right?
Exactly. We are also going to look at the broader business ecosystem they operate in, including some local media sponsors, to understand how this deceptively simple act of serving legal papers has been completely transformed.
Yeah.
We're looking at a space where cutting-edge technology collides with incredibly unforgiving new legal standards.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because whether you are a legal professional who, lives and breathes these statutes, or a business owner trying to protect your assets.
Or even just someone who is insanely curious about how the hidden gears of society actually turn.
Yes. This deep dive is going to completely change how you view the intersection of law, technology, and logistics.
It's a whole new world.
Because what used to be just some guy in a windbreaker knocking on a door and handing over a manila envelope that has evolved into a highly sophisticated military-grade operation. And the catalyst for all of this is the 2026 federal and state legal updates.
Specifically, Louisiana Act 352.
Boy, Act 352.
That act completely rewrote the playbook. Under Louisiana Act 352, the margin for error has simply vanished.
It's just gone.
Totally gone. The legal standards for a verified service are now absolute. If a process server makes a single typo in a timestamp.
Just one typo.
Just one. Or if they fail to document the exact physical description of the subject receiving the papers, it leads to an immediate motion to quash.
And we all know what happens then. Opposing counsel swoops in, the court throws out the service entirely based on that technical defect, and boom, the legal clock resets.
Exactly. Your lawsuit is stalled.
And the defendant gets a massive head start to move assets or, prepare a defense. It is an absolute nightmare scenario for any litigation team.
Precisely. The financial and strategic penalties for a botched serve are immense right now. And this is why we are seeing companies like Lafayette Process Servers develop proprietary, hyper-secure tech stacks just to meet the burden of proof.
Right.
They call their system the Truth Engine Protocol, because in a legal environment where defendants are actively looking for any tiny technicality to evade a lawsuit, the only viable defense is irrefutable, undeniable proof.
I have to admit, the Truth Engine Protocol is a fantastic name.
It is catchy.
It sounds super intense, but when you break down the granular details of what this Tier 1 verification actually entails, you realize they aren't just being dramatic.
Not at all.
This isn't snapping a quick picture of a driveway with an iPhone and calling it a day.
Far from it. The components of this Tier 1 verification protocol are incredibly rigorous. First, there is continuous HD body cam documentation of the entire encounter. Second, they deploy GPS-stamped geofencing, so they aren't just logging a residential address. They are mathematically proving their physical proximity to the subject within a highly specific digital boundary.
That's wild.
Third, where it's permitted, they utilize biometric verification in the field to guarantee the recipient is unequivocally the intended subject.
Wow.
And fourth, every single photo taken in the field has its metadata locked directly to the blockchain.
Okay, I have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Go for it.
Locking a process server's photo to the blockchain, isn't that massive overkill just to prove you handed a guy a summons? I mean, a standard digital timestamp has worked for years.
It sounds like overkill until you look at the reality of digital media in 2026. Think about how easy it is to fake a photo or video today.
Oh, yeah, good point.
We live in an era where photorealistic deepfakes, AI-generated images, and voice cloning can be created on a smartphone in seconds.
Milliseconds.
Right. So if a defendant stands before a judge and claims, That's a fake photo of me receiving those papers. It was completely AI generated. The court needs a mechanism to instantly resolve that dispute.
So it's the ultimate countermeasure to the pics or it didn't happen era. Because now the defense is pics can be faked.
Exactly. By locking the metadata to the blockchain, the process server guarantees the media cannot be tampered with or deepfaked after the fact.
Because the blockchain is an immutable ledger.
Exactly. This protocol proves that absolute statutory compliance today requires bulletproof tech. You simply cannot walk into a courtroom with a standard JPEG and expect it to hold up against a motivated defense attorney claiming digital forgery.
That makes total sense. You need verified, immutable evidence. But what I found equally fascinating isn't just the digital technology, it's the physical, tactical strategy.
The boots on the ground.
Right, the logistics. Because you can have all the blockchain verification in the world, but it doesn't matter if you can't actually get physical proximity to the person you need to serve.
That's always the hardest part.
And this brings us to the Metairie to Northshore pipeline.
Yes, the geography of this operation is a critical factor. Mandeville and Covington are situated on the north shore of Lake Pontchartrain, separated from the greater New Orleans area by the Causeway Bridge.
And navigating that specific stretch of infrastructure efficiently requires serious strategic planning.
It does.
Right. And Lafayette Process Servers, founded by Scott Frank, who has over 20 years of active field experience, by the way, utilizes this brilliant logistical maneuver called the Causeway Timing Advantage.
It's a really smart approach.
Most process servers, based in the Covington area, will wait around until they have a full, complete route of addresses before they head out to do their jobs. But this team does the exact opposite.
Right.
They stage their operations across the lake, specifically at One Galleria Boulevard in Metairie. They use the morning southbound lane traffic patterns to their advantage, prepping their files, and then they cross the causeway northbound to hit the Mandeville and Highway 190 corridor at exactly 10:30 a.m.
And if we look at the psychology there, 10:30 a.m. is a highly calculated strike time.
Why not 80 a.m.?
Because at 80 a.m., people are commuting, they are disorganized, or they are stuck in morning stand-up meetings. But at 10:30 a.m., corporate registered agents are almost guaranteed to be sitting at their desks.
Makes sense.
They have settled in, they've cleared their early inbox, but they haven't yet pulled the universal post-lunch office disappearing act.
We all know that act. The phantom 2-hour lunch break, where half the executive suite suddenly becomes totally unreachable.
Exactly. And more importantly, this 10:30 a.m. timing perfectly precedes the midday security lockdowns that happen at major office complexes.
Right.
During the lunch hour, front desks are often left unmanned or guarded by relief staff who are instructed to strictly deny entry to anyone without an appointment.
So hitting that 10:30 window is precision timing.
It is. It's designed to maximize the probability of a successful handoff before the building goes into a defensive posture.
It's all about minimizing the variables. And speaking of variables, we have to talk about the biggest physical obstacle a process server faces on the North Shore.
The gatekeepers?
The gatekeepers. Navigating the residential labyrinths of zip code 70448 and 70471 is notoriously difficult. We are talking about highly exclusive, heavily guarded gated communities.
Places like Beau, Chêne,
the Sanctuary, Lewisburg. You don't just roll up to the gate at the Sanctuary, roll down your window and say, hey, I'm here to serve a lawsuit.
No, you definitely don't.
The security detail's entire job is to keep uninvited people out.
And this is where statutory mastery comes into play. The amateur strategy is trying to sneak in, maybe tailgating a resident's SUV through the gate.
Which is a terrible idea.
Or trying to bluff the security guard with a fake delivery story. That kind of behavior is not only a massive liability, it's highly unprofessional.
Yeah.
Instead, this operation utilizes their authority under the Louisiana Code of Civil Procedure, specifically CCP Article 1293.
The specialized appointment.
Precisely. Article 1293 grants them a specialized appointment by the court. So when an agent approaches a guard shack at Chêne, they aren't arguing with a voice box.
Right.
They instantly provide the gate guards with a digital court appointment order. They aren't asking the guard for a favor. They are presenting a legal mandate.
Wow.
By treating the security detail with professional respect and asserting their court-appointed authority, they completely flip the dynamic. They turn security personnel into professional allies rather than obstacles.
Which is brilliant because those guards do not want to be in contempt of a court order any more than the defendant does.
Exactly.
And the real-world impact of that approach is undeniable. There's a fascinating case study in our sources from a boutique real estate attorney based in Mandeville. They reported a 40% increase in successful first attempt serves using this tactical dispatch model.
40% is huge.
40%. In litigation, getting a serve done right on the very first try saves an unbelievable amount of billable hours.
It absolutely changes the timeline of a case, but that speed and efficiency have to carry over to what happens after the papers are successfully handed over.
Because the job isn't finished when the defendant takes the envelope.
Right. The court needs official bulletproof notification that the service was actually completed.
And filing the paperwork sounds like the boring administrative part.
It does.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Under Act 352, this is actually where the biggest liability hides. We have to talk about zero-gap filing and the absolute death of the postmark rule.
That was a massive change.
For decades, the legal system relied on that rule. If you dropped an affidavit in the mail and the post office stamped it with today's date, the court considered it filed today, even if it took 3 days to actually arrive at the clerk's desk.
But under Act 352, the postmark rule is dead.
Dead and gone.
The new standard mandates physical, verifiable time stamping. You cannot rely on the Postal Service's sorting delays when opposing counsel is just waiting to file a motion to quash over a timeline technicality. This is why Lafayette process servers integrated directly with the physical requirements of the 22nd Judicial District Court, the 22nd JDC, located in Covington.
Right. They use what they call the zero-gap filing protocol. So how are they closing the gap between the physical serve and the court notification?
It's highly efficient. After a successful serve, their courthouse runner physically files the return. But before that runner even puts their car in drive to leave the parking lot at 701 North Columbia Street, they email a GPS-tagged photo of the physically filed, stamped document directly to the client.
So the client has absolute proof in their inbox, while the ink from the clerk's stamp is literally still wet.
Exactly.
That is just intense legal compliance.
Right.
And they are just as meticulous before they hit the clerk's window, too. Let's look at their 22nd JDC face page protocol.
This is crucial.
They know the St. Tammany Clerk of Court is strictly enforcing Act 352's redaction rules. If a document has unredacted PII, personally identifiable information on the front page, the clerk will reject it at the window immediately. So the dispatch team verifies and fixes these logistics before the agent even heads out to a gated community. They ensure the PII is properly redacted, so there are 0 technical rejections post-serve.
This level of meticulousness is why specialized legal logistics are so vital. There was a great anecdote involving Michael L., a senior paralegal in Covington.
Oh, I loved this story.
Michael needed a 5-day notice to vacate served in Slidell, and he needed it done on a Friday afternoon.
Which is notoriously the absolute hardest time to get anything done in the legal world. Everyone is checking out.
Exactly. But utilizing that Metairie to Northshore pipeline, the dispatch from One Galleria Boulevard had an agent on the ground across the causeway within 2 hours.
2 hours.
They executed the serve, and the GPS-stamped filing receipt from the Covington Clerk of Court was sitting in Michael's inbox before he even left his office for the weekend.
That is the definition of peace of mind for a paralegal. But zooming out a bit, I find myself wondering how a Covington paralegal even knows to hire a Metairie stage dispatch unit in the first place. It's not like attorneys are flipping through the yellow pages in 2026. An operation like this requires a hyper-visible digital footprint to connect with the law firms that need them.
That is an excellent point, which brings us to an interesting layer of this ecosystem. These highly specialized legal operations don't exist in a vacuum.
No, they don't.
They rely on a vibrant local network of digital architects to ensure they can be found by the Michaels of the world.
Right, and that digital visibility is powered by local specialists. Acadiana brands, including these high-level legal service providers, rely heavily on engines like 337 Media.
They do.
337 Media are the specialists building the local SEO and the web infrastructure that allows a boutique law firm to instantly find a Tier 1 process server when they are in a Friday afternoon panic.
And it is a reciprocal relationship. 337 Media actively sponsors regional media, like the Paper Trails Deep Dive that covers these exact industry shifts.
Oh, that's cool.
It illustrates a fully interconnected Louisiana business environment. You have tech companies, digital marketers, process servers, and law firms, all essentially elevating each other's operational capacity.
Yeah.
The legal logistics rely on the digital architects to maintain their visibility, and the digital architects thrive on the complex needs of these specialized local businesses.
It's a fascinating web. But that interconnectedness and the advanced tech being used also requires some incredibly strict boundaries.
Definitely.
When you hear terms like tactical stakeouts, skip tracing, and body cams, it is very easy to blur the lines between a process server, a police officer, or a private eye.
If we connect this to the bigger picture of jurisdictional authority and liability, we have to look at the strict guardrails Lafayette Process Servers has explicitly outlined.
Right.
They are crystal clear about their professional identity. They are not law enforcement. They are not employees of the St. Tammany Parish Sheriff's Office, and they are certainly not attorneys providing legal advice.
Which is a crucial distinction. Because, yes, they do offer advanced services like skip tracing, witness locating, and those tactical stakeouts we mentioned. But those services are strictly tied to court-appointed process service.
Precisely. They place rigid investigative limits on their activities. If someone wants to hire a private investigator to conduct domestic surveillance on a spouse or follow a neighbor, they are suspicious of.
They can't use them.
They cannot hire this unit. They do not provide private investigation services to the general public for non-litigation purposes. Their authority and their tactical deployment is entirely tethered to a formal judge's order to execute legal process.
Operating within those strict boundaries, it isn't just about avoiding legal trouble. It's how they maintain their professional integrity and the trust of the courts.
Absolutely.
You can't be utilizing CCP Article 1293 to bypass security at a gated community if you are known for playing fast and loose with your jurisdictional authority.
And that's exactly why their zero-risk service model is heavily backed by the broader business community. This isn't just a self-proclaimed title. Their operational framework is vetted and supported by active memberships in multiple regional chambers of commerce. We are talking about the St. Tammany Chamber, the Jefferson Chamber, the New Orleans Chamber.
Even the French Quarter Business Association, right?
Yes, they hold a tactical membership with them, plus a Better Business Bureau A+ rating. It's clear they are deeply embedded in the civic infrastructure.
Those chamber memberships aren't just logos you slap on the bottom of a website to look good.
Not in this industry.
In this specific industry, they represent a tangible commitment to attorneys and business owners. It's a signal that every single Act 352 compliant serve, every piece of blockchain-locked metadata, and every causeway crossing is backed by the integrity of those regional chambers.
Well said.
It's a promise of absolute, verifiable professionalism.
It is a promise of transparency, which is exactly what the 2026 legal landscape demands. The courts demand irrefutable proof, the clients demand unprecedented speed, and the technology now exists to provide both without a single compromise.
So what does this all mean for you? The biggest aha moment for me in looking at all of this is realizing that the delivery of legal documents has fundamentally evolved past its origins.
It really has.
It is no longer just a simple courier run or a guy knocking on a door. It has been transformed into a precision-engineered, blockchain-verified tactical mission. The days of taking someone's word for it or relying on a smudged postmark are officially over.
I would encourage you to consider how this specific evolution in legal logistics reflects a much broader societal shift.
Yeah.
Technology is constantly aggressively raising the baseline standard of proof and trust in our society. What qualifies as acceptable evidence today is vastly different from what qualified just a few years ago.
That's true.
The strict requirement for GPS, geofencing, field biometrics, and blockchain ledgers in a routine civil procedure shows that as digital forgery becomes easier and more prevalent, our systems for verifying physical reality must become exponentially more sophisticated to keep pace.
It really makes you look at every single interaction differently. Think about it. If a process server in 2026 must use metadata locked to the blockchain, continuous HD body camera footage, and biometric verification just to prove they handed someone a piece of paper, how long until every physical transaction, every delivery, or every simple handshake agreement in your daily life requires this exact level of irrefutable deep fake proof digital validation?